Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. So, it's free agency day 2, I guess. I figured that since there's been a little bit of time that has passed, I would be able to go into some of the free agency signings that happened, discuss my thoughts on them, and, all that good stuff. So, there was a lot. There was way a lot of signings, and that usually happens when it comes to free agency. There are a lot of contracts that get signed. There were also some trades too, but we're just going to focus on mostly the signings that happened. So we'll start off with some of the re-signings that occurred early on. Sam Reinhart re-signed with the Panthers, 8 years, $8.625 million. Good contract. I figured the deal would be around $9 million, but it ended up around $8 million, or a little under that, 8.6. That's still a good contract for Florida and Reinhart. They said that they wanted to keep him, so it makes sense. Jake Guentzel signed a 7-year, $9 million contract. I like this one as well. I think that Guentzel, he got his pay raise here, and a 7-year contract, I'd say, is good for him. And it shows that they're keeping him around for the foreseeable future. It's good, though, that they managed that. They got rid of Stamkos, brought in someone younger. I think that makes things good there with Guentzel. In terms of other signings, Kulikov re-signed with the Panthers, 4 years at 1.15. I like that contract. Kulikov, a great defensive defenseman. Getting him at 1.1, pretty solid, and it's market value as well, so it makes a lot of sense there for him. Brett Pesce. This is a report that was going on for a while. He re-signed with the Devils, 6 years, $5.5 million. I love that contract for Pesce. It makes that blue line all the much better, and I think that it shows there are some exciting things coming to the Carolina Hurricanes, the Devils, in their future. Joseph Woll, 3 years, $3.66 million. That contract will begin in 2025-2026 with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Good deal. I would assume he'll be the starter. I have no idea what to think. Are they going to run a Stolarz-Woll tandem? Unless if I'm forgetting a goalie here. But, interesting signing there. Chris Tanev re-signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs for a 6-year, $4.5 million deal. 6 years at 4.5 is very interesting. I guess Tanev wanted term, and the Leafs are going to give it to him. That's a good deal, I guess, salary-wise, but 6 years? Man, we'll see how that deal ages for sure. Jakob Trenin, 4 years, $3.5 million. I like that deal for the Wild. I think Trenin's a solid, third line, fourth line forward. The Wild didn't do a ton in this free agency, so it's not that big of a surprise. Brandon Montour, 7 years, $7.14 with the Seattle Kraken. This is why I'm wearing a Kraken jersey. They made some moves yesterday and today that I really did like, and there are a team that I'm definitely going to be talking about in future videos for sure when I start looking at teams, how they did in free agency, how they did in the offseason, and, kind of just go into it there. But Montour, I think that signing is great. Tara Vinen went back to Chicago, and Chicago made a lot of very interesting moves during this free agency period. He signed for 3 years at $5.4 million. And I think that he could be going back to Chicago again, could be a good piece for Bedard to help him. That's what Chicago did a lot in this free agency. They signed a lot of guys that are going to help Bedard, kind of work and get better. The team gets better. And I would assume they're going to move players for assets too. That's what I would imagine they do. Jordan Martinook re-signed with the Hurricanes. 3 years, $3.05 million. Good contract. I like Martinook a lot. I think that that's fitting. Tyler Toffoli signed with the Sharks. This was weird. I did not expect Toffoli to go to San Jose, of all places. He signed for 4 years at $6 million. I still like the contract, but definitely kind of a surprise. I didn't really expect for Toffoli to go to San Jose. Really surprising destination. Sam Lafferty signed with the Sabres, 2 years, $2 million. I like this. I like Lafferty. I think that that's a fitting, third line role for the Buffalo Sabres. And then we did have a trade. Jacob Chikrin was traded to the Washington Capitals in exchange for defenseman Nick Jensen and a 2026 third-round pick. I like this deal a lot. I think it's actually spectacular for the Washington Capitals. Jensen has good defensive capabilities. We'll see how he does with the Senators, but it's pretty clear who wins this trade. It's the Washington Capitals getting a really good top four defenseman in Chikrin, who's 26. Yeah, he's got plenty of time still in his career. So a good trade there by the Caps. Jonathan Marchessault, and this is the first of a couple moves here. I haven't announced the Stamkos one yet, but I'm assuming it's in the next couple of ones. Marchessault signed a 5-year, $5.5 million deal with the Nashville Predators. The Predators really, in this free agency period, really kind of took steps to be a much better team. Obviously, they were first-round exits. That was a big surprise, but they wanted to get more offensive firepower, and they did so, getting Marchessault, Stamkos, and Brady Shea on the back end. I think they did some good signings here. But Marchessault, I like the deal. I think it's going to work out well. Martinez to the Blackhawks, 1 year, $4 million. I like that contract as well for Chicago. They could easily flip him at the trade deadline. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 4 years, $3.5 million. I feel like that's an overpay for someone who was a third-pairing defenseman on the Stanley Cup champions. I don't see how you can justify 3.5 for someone like that. We'll see where he fits in on the blue line, but I think that's a little bit of an overpay. Again, I'm not saying he's bad, but I still think it is an overpay. The Capitals signed Matt Waugh to a 6-year, $5.75 million deal. I love that one. I think Waugh has a good chance to be a good, really solid defensive defenseman for the Capitals, and I think that'll be perfect. The Utah Hockey Club signed Ian Cole to a 1-year, $3.1 million deal. I think Ian Cole, good third-pairing defenseman. Not much else to say there. Anthony Stolarz signed with the Maple Leafs for a 2-year, $2.5 million contract. Stolarz will be a good 1A, 1B, I guess, with Wall. I have no idea how they're going to work that. Is Wall going to be the starter? Is Stolarz going to be the starter? Is there someone else I'm not thinking of right now? I don't know. But Stolarz is on his way to the Maple Leafs. Steven Stamkos, and here we are. Stamkos signed a 4-year, $8 million contract with the Predators. I like this deal in the first 2 or 3 years of it. Towards the end, it could get pretty iffy, but I like this because I think Stamkos will be good for the next 2 or 3 years or so, and I think that contract will look great. Again, Nashville also signed Brady Shea to a 7-year, $7 million contract. I think that Nashville took the first steps here to really build up the roster, and they're one of the first teams that I'm going to talk about when I make the team series videos. So Brady Shea, 7 years at $7 million. I think that's a good contract, and the Stamkos one and the Marchessault one are all pretty solid, and I think that it shows that Nashville's really trying to get much closer to a Stanley Cup or try and get a much better playoff team than they were in previous seasons. Elias Lindholm signed with the Boston Bruins, 7-year, $7.5 million. That's the worst kept secret in hockey. I love the deal for Boston. Lindholm is a good first-line center. It solves that issue of them lacking a first-line center, and I think that it was the worst kept secret. It's perfect. They got him for under $8 million as well, so it's a great signing. David Perron to the Ottawa Senators, 2 years, $4 million. I think it's a good signing. I think that Ottawa got some good, veteran presence with that Perron signing. I think it shows that, they definitely want to get better and they need some vets to help out some of the young guys there. And I think Perron is going to work out well. Jason Zucker signed a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Sabres. I also like that contract. I think that Zucker will be a good veteran presence for a very young Sabres team. Victor Arvidsson signed a 2-year, $4 million deal with the Oilers. I love that contract too. And I think that with Arvidsson, he could be a big steal with that deal. And I think that he could score a consistent, 20, 25 goal season at $4 million and maybe get 50, 55 points. That's a good number there for someone like him. And especially, too, if he's playing alongside McDavid, he will get better. So that's definitely something you got to look at there, too. And I like the Arvidsson contract. Brendan Dillon signed with the New Jersey Devils, 3 years, $4 million. The Jets bought him out, I think, a few days ago, and I think that Dillon will fit in well. Good third pairing guy, maybe second pairing at points, but perfect for the Devils as well. The Flames signed 2 players, Yegor Sharangovich and Anthony Mantha. I like the Mantha deal, 1 year, 3.5. The Sharangovich contract worries me a little bit. I feel like Sharangovich, that could turn into a little bit of an overpay. We'll see how he does in the following seasons, but Sharangovich at 5.75 is interesting to say the least. Sean Monahan also signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets. 5 years, 5.5. Excuse me, he reunites with Johnny Gaudreau. So the Calgary connection there gets reunited. I think it's interesting that you want to get some veteran presence, get a good center there, add some good center depth with the Blue Jackets, and I think that Columbus will do some good. Nikita Zadorov signed with the Boston Bruins, a 6-year, $5 million contract. Interesting. I feel like it would have been a little bit more for someone like, or a little bit less for someone like Zadorov, but not a bad contract. We'll see how he performs with the Bruins, but was a good defenseman with Vancouver, especially in the playoff run, and I think that could turn out good for him. The Hurricanes made some moves. They signed Jacob Slavin to an 8-year, $6.46 million deal. That's a steal. Slavin at $6 million is a steal. One of the better defensive defensemen in the NHL. The deal does not begin until 25-26. And they also signed William Carrier to a 6-year, $2 million deal. That surprised me. At 6 years was interesting. But I do think that it could turn out good. A solid depth player for Carolina there. And then Slavin, again, as I said, best defensive defenseman in the NHL probably. Jake DeBrusk signed a 7-year, $5.5 million deal with Vancouver. It's going to be weird seeing him in a jersey that isn't Boston, but I think DeBrusk has the potential to be a good, solid forward for Vancouver, and I think that the signing shows it. Joel Edmondson signed with LA, 4 years, $3.8 million. Basically a 4x4, not terrible. I think Edmondson will be a good, second or third pairing guy with the LA Kings. Other signings, I'm trying not to miss any here. Cam Talbot signed with the Red Wings, a 2-year, $2.5. This and the Campbell signing, which I think it was like a 1-year, $700K deal, or 1 year, $775K deal. They confused me because Detroit already has so many goalies. Why would you bring in 2 more? It makes me feel like they want to trade someone. I don't know. I don't really know what Yzerman was doing there. We'll see where they go with that, but interesting to say the least. The Blackhawks made a few signings. They signed Laurent Brossoit to a 2-year deal. They signed Pat Maroon to a 1-year deal and Craig Smith to a 1-year deal as well. 3 signings to really help out Bedard. Brossoit will be a good, starter or backup to Mrazek. I think that that's perfect for Chicago. They get some guys they can flip at the trade deadline. I think that'll work out well. Matt Duchene signed a 1-year, $3 million contract with the Dallas Stars. I love that move as well. Spectacular. I think that Duchene will have some potential with the Dallas Stars. And again, $3 million for a guy who put up some really good numbers this year is good. I think that Jim Nill really hit it out of the park with that one. The Senators signed Michael Amadio to a 3-year, $2.6 million deal. 3 years is interesting. I like Amadio. I feel like he can be a good, depth player or third line, fourth line guy for the Senators, but we'll see where he fits in there on Ottawa. LA signed Warren Foegele to a 3-year, $3.5 million deal. I think this is good. Honestly, Fogel's a hard worker, always puts his body on the line, always played well, always worked hard. I think Fogel is perfect there for the LA Kings. Stefan Noesen signed a 3-year, $2.75 million deal. Stefan Noesen, not Noesen. Sorry. But Noesen, I think, is a good contract there. I think New Jersey would like to have a solid, depth piece there, and Nosen's one of them. He's not going to be depth, but he'll be like a third, fourth line guy. Casey Smith signed a 3.3-year, $1 million deal with the Stars, and Wedgwood signed a 2-year, $1.5 million for the Predators. So 2 solid backup goalies go to 2 teams that definitely are going to need backup roles, and I think that that's perfect for the Stars and Predators. Chandler Stevenson signed with the Seattle Kraken, a 7-year, $6.25 million deal. Again, the reason why I'm wearing a Seattle jersey is because I love what Seattle did. I think that bringing in Montour to help with the defense and bringing in Stevenson to strengthen the center core, I think is perfect. I think it's great what Ron Francis is doing, and I like the Stevenson signing a lot. The Flyers re-signed Garnet Hathaway to a 2-year, $2.4 million deal. Good contract. I think he's done well with Philadelphia, and I think that that's perfect. Other signings here, I'm scrolling through. Some of them, nothing too big. Matt Dumba signed a 2-year, $3.75 million deal with the Stars, and so did Brendan Smith on a 1x1. Good contracts for both. Dumba, I feel like it's a little bit of an overpay, to be honest. He's not that great defensively. He's a third-pairing guy. I feel like 3.75 shouldn't warrant that. Gustafsson signed a 2-year, $2 million deal with the Red Wings. I have not been a fan of Gustafsson in previous years, but he actually had a good year with the Rangers, so I'll give it to him. We'll see how he can do with Detroit. Ilya Lyubushkin signed a 3-year, $3.25 million deal with the Stars. Again, same thing as Dumba, a little bit of an overpay for Dallas. I think that it could be a little bit less than what they're actually signing him to. But Lyubushkin, solid contract, I guess. We'll see how it pans out with Dallas. Anthony Duclair signed a 4-year, $3.5 million contract with the New York Islanders. I like this move a lot. I think that Duclair has some good potential to be a good top 6 forward with the Islanders, middle 6 forward, and I think it bolsters the offensive core a little bit, and I think Lou Lamoriello did a good job. So, good job, Lou. I know I don't give Lou a lot of credit on this channel, but I think Lamoriello did a good job. Riley Smith was traded to the the New York Rangers yesterday for 25% retained with a 2027 conditional second and a 2025 conditional fifth. So, some draft picks going back the other way for Pittsburgh that makes some cap room. I think they're going to try and sign Sidney Crosby. That's what I kind of see with these moves. And the rest are kind of just, minor signings. Corey Perry signs a 1-year, $1.4 with the Oilers. So you can safe to say that they're not going to win the finals next year if they make it. But, regardless, Corey Perry signs a 1x1.4 with the Oilers. Good contract. The rest are more or less just kind of minor deals. Slavkovsky signed a 8-year, $7.6 million with the Canadiens. I love the contract. I think it's perfect for Slavkovsky. It's actually life-changing for him, so great extension there. And that's pretty much it. Gostisbehere, 3 years, 3.2 with the Hurricanes. I know they signed Sean Walker, too, to a 5-year, $3.6 million deal. So some good defensive moves there for the Hurricanes. I think that they did a great job signing some defensemen there. And the rest are more or less, I'm scrolling through them here. There's not a whole lot of big ones. Not really that many impact players that were signed. And there were some re-signings, but nothing too big, honestly. Matthew Joseph was traded to the Blues. So was Radek Faksa, actually. And that's pretty much it when I look through them. Now, I will be doing separate team videos on a lot of them. Like, I'll make a video on Nashville soon, hopefully, talking about the moves they made and all that stuff. So expect some of those in the future. I'm very excited to make those. I think I might make one like tonight, upload it tomorrow. We'll see what I do. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe down below. I would greatly appreciate it. But regardless, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.